Evening, guys. It's Sunday night. It's that time of the week again where we talk about all things Celtic. It's been a busy week. We've got Paul in the studio again tonight. Paul, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on, as usual.
No worries.
Thanks very much.
We're live across Facebook and YouTube. Check out both our channels. Just search Celtic FC Appreciation and click like and subscribe and follow the podcast. Much appreciated. So we want to thank our sponsor, Club Badge FC. They are the official sponsors of the Scotland national team. They do all sorts of badges and pins. I've been in touch with Paul to try and get some badges made up. Hopefully some ones for Ange and Kyogo and that sort of thing. So hopefully that can be done. As I say, we want to hear from you guys, the fans. We want to hear about what you think of Celtic this week and everything that's happened. It's been a great week. Ange Ball is in full swing. So we're going to go back to last Sunday and beating Hearts in the Premier Sports Cup. We won 3-2. Paul, you were there. I missed the first half because I was at the Newcastle West Ham game, but I heard it was some of the best football we've played in a long, long time.
Yeah, watching the game, it was just as it has been, this week as well. Just zipping balls so fast. And where the difference from last season is we're making the space in front of the box, the opposition box this time. We're finding that extra touch, and it was really pleasing to watch them. And it was just absolute domination. The 3-2 scoreline wasn't fair. If you didn't watch that game and you seen that scoreline, you're thinking, no, it's 3-2. It was close, but it totally wasn't. And we still had a wee bit of kind of fragility in there in the defence, and that's why we conceded those goals. And Starfelt, with the penalty as well. Trying to bed himself in. Maybe a wee bit of nerves as well. So yeah, but it was a great game, great performance, and just sorting out the back, which we know we need to strengthen anyway.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I only seen the second half. I seen the goals at half time, and it was a great team goal for the first goal.
Absolutely.
From Eddie. I think it's Kyogo outside the foot to James Forrest and whipped it across for Edward to tuck it away. And I think that was so important for Eddie because Kyogo's came in and he's really captured the Celtic fans' hearts. While it's great that a new signing's hit the ground running, Edward's still a class player and he's still a quality player as he showed for Celtic. But when you look at his goals from last season, and I'm just going to put you back in. His goals from last season, his goals from this season. I think he's going to be dominant as well because you can switch him. You can switch Eddie and Kyogo, where you can play. Yesterday, Kyogo played out wide and fed. Edward eventually did get his goal in the second half, but even Stephen Welsh popping up from a corner, bullet header, and I think from what I've seen, the fans were absolutely bouncing. The stadium was absolutely rocking when that second goal went in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The performance of the players you could see on the park was just, the place was electrifying, to be honest, and the added part that there was Hearts and it was a wee bit kind of revenge from the first game of the season, and all that added in, and fans all back, and it was an amazing game, to be honest. And I left a little bit early and then found out Hearts scored a second, and that's like, what's the chances? But they totally didn't even deserve the two goals. They weren't in the game at all, to be honest.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because Carol Starfelt's obviously been thrown in at the deep end almost. He's not really had proper time to bleed into that Celtic side, and he's kind of been a wee bit shaky in certain games. That Hearts game, it's unlucky, I suppose, when he gave the penalty away. Do you know what I mean? He obviously doesn't know the attackers there, and he fills him and he brings him down. I think Beaton was desperate to point to the spot, to be honest. I think he was desperate to give something against us. But as you say, we did fall away in the second half, and I think that was just purely by how high the energy levels were in the first half and how high the energy levels have been in the last few games. I did think it did flatter Hearts even getting the second goal, because I felt even though we'd switched off, even though we took our foot off the gas, we still looked comfortable. We still looked comfortable in the ball. We still looked comfortable going forward. And, you know, it was gutted for Joe Hart, obviously, no getting a clean sheet, but he got one yesterday. But we're through, and we're in the last 8 of the Premier Sports Cup. A home tie is a reward against Raith Rovers. It'd be interesting to see the pricing structure on that one, because we were talking off air about, you know, I think maybe Celtic could do a kind of family deal in some ways, because the game's going to be live on Premier Sports. I think maybe, you know, kids get in for £1, something like that, because I don't see us getting a massive crowd. I mean, do you think Celtic fans going to pay for the tickets to go because the team's playing so well?
I think, you know what, I think a lot of it depends on the next couple of weeks. You know, I think if we go to Agrox next week and we win that, and if we're in the Europa League, I think you might see a decent turnout. I don't think it will get full just because it is Raith Rovers, but I certainly, I probably don't think if Celtic aren't going to give season ticket holders a wee extra ticket for one of the European games or the Cup game, I don't think they'll do any deals for the Raith game either, to be honest. They'll be thinking a business head, but you know, it's on TV, but I think people want to be there. But like I says, I don't think it will be a capacity crowd, but I think they'll be decent enough, depending on the next couple of weeks if the you know, the feeling's still there, everybody, you know. So yeah, it's an interesting couple of weeks ahead.
Well, that's the thing, because obviously the game, you know, in order to get the game, you're going to need to take Premier Sports out for a month, which is, I'm sure it's still $9.99 for the month. Yeah. So, based on that, I think I would rather pay for a ticket for the game and actually go and watch it live and soak up some sort of atmosphere rather than sit in the house. And
I think people will buy the tickets for the semis and stuff like that, so they get an opportunity for the semi-finals and stuff.
I think that's the thing. A lot of fans don't really tend to go to the early rounds when you draw the smaller teams. But this is a quarter final. After all, it's a chance to get to Hampden. So there's a possibility that it might be a full house. But I would hope Celtic would do something. Just going to go to the comments. Barry Hawkins, he's a Celtic fan from Leeds. Welcome, Barry. I hope you're well. Leeds obviously are doing great things down south kind of thing. I think they'll do well again this year. Chris Henratty on YouTube says we'll take 10 off someone this season. Listen, it could have been 10 yesterday, Paul. I was at the game, and you know, listen, I know a lot of it can go on the sending off for Alan Power, and I couldn't believe it, because I was at the game and Michael gave me his ticket, and I was at the game, and basically, you know, when I seen Alan Power's name on the team sheet, I says to the guy next to me, he's gonna, you know, he's the one that done Jeremy Frimpong a couple of times when he was at Kelly. He's an absolute animal. There's no other word to describe him. I don't think he should be a professional footballer in the top flight, because that's all he is. He's a thug, and I couldn't believe some of the comments about the red card in terms of. I think Mark Wilson disagreed and said it should have been probably a yellow card. I think Michael Stewart on Sportscene says it was probably in between a yellow and a red. For me, I mean, I was up the other end of the ground, but I've seen it back on the replay. If it's a wee bit higher on David Turnbull, his season's over.
Yeah,
100%. Simple as that. It's an absolute leg breaker, and for me, it's a Stonewall red card every day of the week.
No, definitely. And you know, the Power had the cheek to stand up and be like, "What?"
You know, he was away. Like, he actually walked away as if it was a yellow card. I
was like, "You actually kidding? You nearly killed the guy." You know.
Aye.
Yeah, horrendous tackle. To be fair, Christie put in a horrendous tackle and didn't get any card either. So, but I don't think it would have made much difference yesterday anyway, to be honest.
I mean, on the Christie challenge, I mean, I think Christie's was probably definitely a boot, and I'm no, I'm not going one way or the other, but I would have said Christie's was more of a yellow card than a red card, because it's a more controlled challenge. His feet's along the ground. it's no. I don't know if he did get a touch to the ball. Supposedly Chris Iwelumo on Sportscene said he got a tiny touch in the ball. But I think it was a more controlled challenge, and I don't think it was as bad. Maybe if it went through the guy and properly caught him, then who knows. But I don't think it would have been. And as I say, I don't think it would have had any effect on the game, because I think yesterday we would have trounced anybody. We were playing sensational football yesterday, and people say it's only St Mirren, but this is a team. They got to 2 cup semi-finals last year and missed out in the top 6 by a whisker due to COVID. They had to postpone a couple of games. But did you get to see the game yesterday?
Yeah, I watched most of it. I missed the kind of first 10-15 minutes, but I got most of the game. So, yeah, really, I guess carrying on for last weekend against Hearts and then midweek as well. It just keeps continuing, and it's that intensity, it's totally 100% just bombarding the opposition, and slightly different against Alkmaar, obviously, because they're a better kind of higher standard, but but even in Alkmaar we were still going for it. Like, it was really zipping the ball fast, creating loads of space, making runs, and yeah. It was really good to see, and it's been a few games on the bounce now, and the confidence is high, and it can come into a better week, having your confidence that high into a big European game and then away to Ibrox. We can be in a better place, to be honest.
Aye, as you say, I mean, it's going to be a massive week. Paddy Kelly says, big week coming up, 2 big games. Confident we'll score versus AZ. Hopefully be enough to get us to the group stage. Ibrox, we play as we have been, then pretty confident. Be too fast for the back line. Obviously, they struggled slightly at Dingwall today. They won 4-2. I think Ross County pulled it back to 3-2 at one point. So a wee bit shaky for them, but they came through it. But as I say, it's a massive week, and obviously going. I mean, in terms of yesterday, the game, it was just even at 4-0. You thought to yourself, don't take your foot off the gas, keep going forward. And you seen that from Ange in the dugout. He's like, get forward. He was sending attacking players on, Rogic and Ajeti in the second half, and Ajeti done well to eventually set up David Turnbull for his first career hat-trick. I didn't know that, but certainly his first Celtic hat-trick. He was inspired yesterday. I mean, Abada was phenomenal. Kyogo was excellent. I thought Eddie put in a shift. I thought to a man, we were excellent. And Ralston, again, who I'll mention, because a wee bit of pumpkin pie or humble pie rather, with Anthony Ralston, because at the start of the season I thought he shouldn't be in that team. It's not his fault that he's in the team, but I didn't ever think he's good enough. He is proving everybody wrong week by week, and if he can keep that up, he'll be very hard to shift.
No, definitely the new boy coming in obviously adds a wee bit of strength and depth into that position, but I think it's Ralston's to lose there, and the way he's going. Just now you can't really see him losing that. He just gets better and better, and that was the same as you at the beginning of the season. I was like, this is, and he didn't have the greatest of starts either, but since then he's took his chance, and fair play to the boy, man. He's come out and just going forward, defending everywhere. Every part of his game's improved. He looks a lot more stronger as well. Physically strong. You can tell that and his pace is really picked up. And most importantly, his defending has been really good in the last couple of weeks. So long may it continue.
Absolutely. That's going to be the question I'm going to put out there. Should Anthony Ralston keep his place against AZ in Holland and Ibrox, or would you rest them and throw Josip Juranovic in? I mean, for you, Paul, would you keep Ralston in for the next 2 games and then bring Juranovic in, maybe?
So I would start Ralston definitely in those 2 games. I think he's earned that at least. I think a new guy coming in, and from what I've seen of Juranovic, he's a really good player, and I'm sure he'll challenge Ralston for that position. But I think it's Ralston's. He deserves the shot of those 2 games, and I think he'll do well. you know, it'll be a different Anthony Ralston that will be playing Rangers this season than it will be last season. So that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And just to finish on yesterday's game, I mean, I don't think there was a bad goal in the game yesterday. Do you know what I mean? When you look at, I mean, even I think Turnbull's second one, I know it's maybe a bit scrappier, but he's in the right place at the right time. That's kind of what we need this season, because I think last season a lot, when we were whipping balls into the danger area, there was nobody there. Do you know what I mean? There was no Griffiths or a Yeti or Edward there, really. Whereas this season, you know, you've got Kyogo on the byline. You've got Abada hitting the byline and whipping balls in. You know, Turnbull's in there, and they all want to score. They all want to have a go. And I think it's 9 different goal scorers already. And we're all at the top of the chart. So it's great to see that.
Definitely, you need some of the midfielders to be hitting double figures in a season, you know, and if you're getting that, and we're seeing signs of that already, so it's looking promising goal scoring wise, and I think all the other teams in the league, including the team at Ibrox, will be nervous. You know, they'll see the pace that Celtic are playing at and their attacking style, and the nerves will be there for the other teams, because yes, it was only St Mirren. Yes, it was only Dundee. But you still need to go and beat 11 men. And you're not just beating them, you're just dominating the game. And it could have been 6 or 7 against Hearts last weekend as well. In a different time, but it wasn't. So, you know, listen, we get a positive result on Thursday. We've not got as far as to travel as they have. And the confidence is high in ours, whereas I think, you know, in the other side of Glasgow, I think they're all a bit nervy and a bit, you know, the form hasn't been the best. Listen, Ross County scored 2 goals against them. That's Ross County. Imagine if that Celtic play them next week and the way they've been attacking. If County can score 2, Celtic can do it as well. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
A couple of comments coming in. Ian Gordon, welcome to the page. Come on, you boys in green. Chris and Ratty again says a lot of people will buy it so they can get tickets for the semi-final. Obviously, referring to the Raith Rovers game. Patricia Tuohay, I hope that's how you pronounce it, is watching from Monasterevin, County Kildare Island. Welcome from across the sea. It's great to have you on. Blair Mullen. Power has a record, and the fact he dived in so quickly, Colm had to book him. If Turnbull had his leg planted, that's a season ender, absolutely. Chris Ratty says absolutely. Anthony Ralston should keep his place, maybe rest him after Ibrox. And Danny Hunter is just echoing. He is buying into the Ange Ball completely. Born to be a champion, born to play, born to score goals, born to be the best. Trebles, quadruple trebles, absolutely. Totally, Danny. So as I say, we go on to Thursday now. I'd rather go back to Thursday. AZ Alkmaar, 2-0. I don't know about you, but I was quite disappointed that it finished 2-0, because I felt that tie was there to be finished on Wednesday.
Yeah, the tie on Thursday. I mean, the start, that save for Joe Hart, just that experience, that reaction save, you know, that I think that it was a different game if that went in, you know. I think potentially it could have been an uphill struggle. I know that we wouldn't have done it, but yeah, we had plenty of chances and we were attacking very well. Even in the, you know, it's 2-0 and there's injury time. And we had a free kick up the top left-hand side, and Ange's like, no, get it in the box, let's get another goal. That wouldn't have happened last season. It would have been, you know, negative, coming back, you know, and they were just like, no, get it in the box. They weren't even taking it to the corner to waste time. They were trying to get another goal in injury time, and that's just so good to see. It could have been more, and yeah, I guess you can be a little bit disappointed, but the boys done well against a decent enough side, to be honest.
I think that's how far we've come in such a short time under Postecoglou, because when you look back to even pre-season, some of the results we were getting, and then you look at losing to Hearts, I think a lot of fans were maybe kind of worried and thinking, God, we need so many players in, and we need to. They were on at the board and they were nagging to just open a blank checkbook for Postecoglou. Whereas I think when you go back and look at that Hearts game now at Tynecastle, you could almost see what the team were trying to do. Obviously now when you see it coming into fruition, but obviously that's what the team was trying to do. But it was a wee bit of panic mode set in. So I think it's obviously a massive step up from Jablonec in the last round. AZ Alkmaar are a decent team, and you touched on obviously a great save by Joe Hart. How good has it been to see an established keeper in that's a safe pair of hands ahead of Bernard Barkas? You can't see Bernard Barkas really ever getting back into that side anytime soon.
No, you can't, and just seen different things on Thursday night. Different side of Joe Hart, and there was a couple of games before I thought he was a wee bit unsure what to do or how to get the ball out to the park where it should go. Just that wee bit of uncertainty, but seen real leadership, and he wasn't. Everybody will know that he had that wee chat with Ange and went on, spoke to Callum, and and got the boys together for a plan for the last kind of 5 minutes, and that's what you need. And you also need somebody who can actually save a shot, and that's what he's been doing, and that's what's one of our major problems last season was that who now we have our number one pretty much, and we didn't have that last year. It was chop and changing, and I like Bain personally. I think he's all right, but Joe Hart's just. He's took that role and he's got really involved in the team and in the club and everything. So, it's really good to have somebody like that at the back with the experience, the ability, but also that kind of leadership to lead the back line as well.
I think Bain could potentially come in as a domestic kind of keeper to fill in for Joe Hart in the long run, because if you can get that defence settled, if you can get Starfelt, Big Julian, if we can get him back, although again Stephen Welsh will be very, very difficult to get out of that team. Ralston's going to be difficult to get out of the team. Juranovic is coming in, so if we can get that defence settled in, then potentially it will settle Scott Bain down if he does need to come in for maybe some domestic cup games. So a lot of teams like to have cup keepers, but just a comment from Eddie Devine says, do you think the fans and media are always tougher on homegrown academy players? I kind of get what he means, because I think when you look at the likes of when Tierney came through, when McGregor, Ralston and Stephen Welsh and things like that, I think there's almost a kind of, because they've been at the club for so long, I think there's almost an added pressure of, what it takes to you know what it's like to support Celtic, so you should almost be trying double as hard as maybe a foreigner coming in and becoming like a Kyogo, like a fan hero. Do you know what I mean? Would you agree that there is a bit of pressure on them?
Probably, yeah. I'm sure the Callum McGregors and the Kieran Tierneys and of the world they'll tell you that have been at the club so long, and there's that expectation that, if a guy comes in from abroad, then, he needs that time to settle in, get used to the different style of football, blah, blah, blah. Well, these boys, if they come into the starting 11 and they start playing, and they start putting in performances, then comes the pressure of playing for Celtic, then comes the pressure from the media, because they've been at the club so long, so they should know. It should just automatically be in their head what they need to do and what it means. And sometimes, I think the media or people forget that actually it's quite a tough. Callum McGregor's had to take over from what has been, one of the best captains Celtic's ever had. Mm-hmm. And he's had to step into really big shoes and make it his own. And to be fair, you can't knock him so far this season. He's been zipping about everywhere and working his backside off and showing that leadership. So, fair play to him. But I do agree to that to some extent, that there is that expectation and pressure, and I think the media are a wee bit harsher on the boys that have been to the club for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think Callum's definitely surprised me a lot. I love Callum McGregor, massive Cal fan, but I did doubt whether or not he could bring that kind of Bruni kind of feel
Mm-hmm.
to the role. And I've seen a few videos of him in the huddle, and it looks as if he's filling his boots pretty well. So long may that continue. I've just looking at some stats here. Last 6 games, we've scored 24 goals, conceded 4, 150 shots in goal, and 64 on target. That is a pretty frightening, average 4 goals a game. That's going back possibly to when we had, Martin Neal's first season, when we had the likes of Larson and Hartson and Sutton kind of thing, and we were scalping teams 5-0 and 6-0 every week. Do you know what I mean? That's going back to that kind of era. And just in terms of the AZ Alkmaar, the second leg, how tough do you see it being in Holland? Obviously, do you see his scoring, and secondly, do you think we'll have any of the possession, or do you think it will need to be play without possession?
I don't see it being any different from what it has been. I don't think Ange will allow that kind of playing out from the back and keeping the ball in our half. And I think it will be pretty much the same as Thursday, and try and go and get that goal. I think the early goal is important. If Celtic get a goal and they go 3-0 up, there's an opportunity there to make some changes for Ibrox. And I'm very confident, in which I wasn't a few weeks ago, to say that. If we get a goal and it's 3-0 up, I'm confident we'll hold that 3-0 lead easily over there.
Yeah.
And we can bring some players on. Maybe Juranovic will come on. I don't know if he'll be able to play by that point. I don't know. Or he's too late for the squad. I don't know. But rest some players for the big game at Ibrox, because they've got a 14,000 mile round trip. Before our own firm game. So we use what advantage we get. I think he'll go out full throttle and try and get the goal, to be honest, and then I think that will finish the tie.
Aye, I mean, I definitely think a third goal in Wednesday there in the first leg would have killed the tie. But I can see a scoring over there. But I do think we need to learn how to play without the ball, because I think for large spells they're going to be dominant in possession. They're a good side. I think they finished third behind Ajax and PSV, maybe.
Yeah.
And just in terms of, the style of football we're playing, Chris and Ratty says, I know it's early doors, but this is the best football I've seen Celtic play since the Tommy Burns era. I've heard a few people saying that, actually, over the last couple of weeks. Keith from Come On the Hoops Celtic page, it's great weekend. And Eddie just going up in his point, saying my point is more related to Welsh and Ralston. By all means, not the finished article, but they're improving game by game. They are, and I do think they need a lot more improvement before they're at a certain level, kind of thing. But as I say, I do think we'll go through in Thursday. Obviously, I think I'm right in saying it's a 7:15 kickoff.
No, it's a bit earlier. Yeah,
it's live on Premier Sports, so hopefully we'll get through that, get into the group stage, and then we can look ahead to Ibrox, and that is exactly where we're going to look ahead to Ibrox. You've got no fans, so we're asking, will the fact that there's no Celtic fans going to be in Ibrox, do you think it's going to have an effect on the team on Sunday?
I think it always has some sort of effect, no matter what team you are. But I think the fact there's fans in there, even though they're not supporting you, will drive the team on. And I know if I was going to Ibrox as a player and there's no Celtic fans there, and it's just Rangers fans, there's nothing more than I want is to go and put the ball in that back of that net in front of all the fans. So I'm hoping that they're on the same wavelength, and I'm sure a lot of the boys will be. And they'll be up for that game, and hopefully we're in the group stage of the Europa League. But then confidence is still high. That's a lot. Confidence is a massive thing, for a footballer. You become more expressive, and you start getting that extra yard because you've got that wee kind of extra bit of confidence and buzz about you. So and the team's it's all over the team. It's all over Lennoxtown and Parkhead. So I'm hoping decent result on Thursday will continue that on, and that I see us getting a positive result there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. I think Ange's really going to need to gear the players up for what kind of atmosphere it's going to be. A hostile atmosphere, no doubt. It's going to be a full house at Ibrox. It's all going to be Rangers fans, but what I'm really hoping is that some of the players that have been there and done it, like Callum McGregor, like Ryan Christie, you're hoping that they're going to tell the other players how you're going to need to play, because like Kyogo, he is a wee bit of lightweight, but he's magic on the ball. His movement is phenomenal. He's magic on the ball, but they're going to target him big time. So we're going to need to work our way around that, and the fact that if we can get the ball to him, then brilliant, and he can work his magic. But he's just going to get filled up and down the park on Sunday, and it's all about trying to almost protect him if the referee can't. Because I mean, I was at the game yesterday, and how Willie Collum is a professional referee is beyond me, because some of the decisions yesterday, were unbelievable. I mean, even at 5-0 up, it was given some questionable decisions, and obviously you've seen the goal that St Mirren scored or should have had allowed. Ralston's playing him a bit a yard onside, so how they can't see that, I don't know. But I think it's definitely going to be tasty. But I think we're going to have a lot more confidence, and I think the fact that we're only travelling to Holland is going to help massively, because they're obviously travelling to Armenia with a full strength squad, because the tie's still in the balance for them, as it is with us. But as I say, I'd rather be travelling to Holland than Armenia. I think score prediction for next week, Ibrox, I would say 2-0 Celtic.
Yeah, I was thinking the same before we came on, guys. I was thinking 2-0. I've got Kyogo to make a Old Firm debut goal, and Eddie as well.
Yeah. Just in terms of we're going to talk about, obviously we got Josip Juranovic on a 5-year deal. A fantastic bit of business for the price, for the money that we paid for him. As I say, he's a right back, which we've not really had an established right back since Frimpong left. How obviously I've only seen bits of him at Euro 2020. Obviously, it was in Croatia, were in Scotland's group, but what do you kind of see him bringing to the Celtic team? Do you think he'll come in and settle a lot quicker than maybe Starfelt's done? I know Starfelt's obviously been thrown in, but
I think he might do. To be honest, he's I believe he's probably had a good word with Boric. The old holy goalie's probably gave him a good lowdown of what it's like to be at the club, and how much he hates the other team. So, but yeah, I think still he'll take maybe a couple of weeks to bed in, and I think, like I said earlier, I think he could feature on Thursday depending how it goes. I see Ralston starting at Ibrox, to be honest, but I don't see him. I don't see us taking a chance on him on an Old Firm game. I think it's quite a cauldron to put somebody in a debut Old Firm game, and it'd be good to get a result at Ibrox. So I don't think Ange will take the chance, but you never know. You never know what happens between now and then, and maybe he works hard in training and shows that. So we'll see. But yeah, no, he looks good. I've watched him a few times for Croatia, and I'm sure everybody's seen that goal he scored the other night as well. So player coming up with that kind of shot, against a decent side as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In a decent competition. So yeah, I'm excited about him, and excited about that battle for that right back position. So yeah,
I think he might be actually cup tied. against Alkmaar because he's played for Legia. So as I said, don't see him. I think maybe the next league game against Ross County in a few weeks' time at Celtic Park. I think that'll probably be the game that maybe throw him in. So as I say, like, who else do you guys think that we should bring in? You know, a lot of talk about Nisbet coming in for this kind of swap deal for Griffiths. Chris and Ratty reckons we should get Nisbet in. There was talks, I can't remember who it was that tipped it or touted it, Paul, but somebody touted at the weekend, Kevin Nisbet plus cash for Lee Griffiths. I mean, is that a deal that you could see getting sanctioned?
100%. I would just get rid of Griffiths and buy Nisbet full price, to be honest. So if they're doing a swap deal there, ideal. Plus cash, but you know, it's whether they take the bait, to be honest, and Celtic, you know, offer them what they want. So we'll see in the coming weeks, you know. And I think there's the Greek boy as well, potentially coming in. So he's good. You know, another striker coming in. If Griffiths is going, is ideal. But if Griffiths doesn't go, then you're thinking, okay, now I've got 4 strikers. You know, we didn't have one didn't have 2 that could put a ball in the back of the net. So it makes you wonder what's happening with Eddie. You know, that's another thing. You know, so yeah, but Nisbet is. I would love Nisbet in the team. I think Nisbet he would do well. So we'll see what comes from that.
I think you mentioned obviously Giannakopoulos. That is going to be Celtic's absolute dream signing if we can get him in, because his name on the back of your top would cost you about £20 or something. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you give him a double number. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll absolutely rake it in with his name on the back of your jersey. Right up there with Venegura Hesselink. Chris and Ratty says we need a left back. Taylor is okay, but not consistent enough for me. I think a lot of people are echoing that sentiment, Chris. I thought he played well yesterday, and I actually thought he had an okay game in Wednesday. A couple of times he slipped up a wee bit, but I think domestically, I think Greg Taylor is okay to have in your team. Probably the same with Ralston, but if we're talking European, and obviously the league winners get a Champions League automatic groups place for next season, then you know you've got to be looking at quality players in these positions at left back and quality positions right back and up front and that sort of thing. You need a kind of Edward type player that's going to get you goals. And I think from what I've seen, I think Giannakopoulos was top goal scorer in Eredivisie last season, something like 29 in 33 games. So you know he could be right up our street. Gary Lamb says, do you think Christie will stay playing brilliant football again? Well, he got the captain's armband briefly yesterday when Callum McGregor went off. I know he posted an Instagram and he's still working his biceps, and then posted a close-up with the captain's armband on his arm. It was a wee bit limp. But listen, you know, I think Ange said after the game that it was a natural choice because just by how long he's been at the club. It seemed to me like he was almost dangling the bait in terms of this is how much we think of you at the club. Know that he's going to get the captaincy, but you know, even as he could be put in as vice captain, and that might be a bit of carrot on the stick to dangle in front of him to stop him moving. I would love to see Christie stay and recapture that form of the last couple of seasons. Do you know what I mean? Before last season, obviously. Danny Hunter says Celtic have a fantastic goalkeeper, fantastic saves. Goalkeeper needs a bit of credit too. Absolutely, with absolutely waxing lyrical about Joe Hart. But I mean, in terms of other players, obviously we're talking about Nisbet, we're talking about Giannakopoulos and Juranovic. What other position do you see needing massively improved? Obviously, we've got McCarthy and we've got Hart in. We've got players in that haven't even featured yet, like Liam Shaw, Urhoghide as well on the bench. So, do you think it's more defensively that we're going to be looking at before the window shuts?
I think you might see a striker coming in. I think we need a left back and ideally a centre back. And plus, to be honest, guys, we've got a lot of dead wood at the club that we need to shave that wage bill a wee bit. So I'd like to. I don't want to see anybody's career ending or leaving Celtic in bad terms, but we need to cut some of the guys that have been there for how long, and they're not playing, they're just sitting there. So we need to be a wee bit more ruthless in terms of that and bring in players that that are going to be good enough for this big season for us. Good enough domestically, but also in Europe. I'd like to see another centre back, and I think Taylor needs a wee hand on the left, to be honest, and a wee push. Because for me, he's very good at times, but he's not so good at other times. So I think somebody said it before. It's just a wee bit of consistency there. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but the last few games I've watched, when the other team's attacking, the opposition is attacking, they're attacking Greg Taylor.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. They don't. Well, they obviously go down towards Ralston, but 9 times out of 10 they're attacking Taylor. So I think other teams have seen him as the weak spot down there at the moment, and that needs fixed. So whether another player coming in that will take his place or somebody that will push him, to fight for the place. So yeah.
As I say, just to go on to Edward Haswell's comments, he says, any Celtic fans allowed in Ibrox next Sunday? No, there's not. Rangers obviously pulled the rug under them for the last minute. Apparently, although it was to do with they claim that Celtic couldn't give them assurances for the New Year game at Celtic Park. So that is their claim that Celtic weren't able to confirm tickets for January, so they're not giving us tickets. It's tit for tat, and to be honest, they kind of started this. This game's all about the fans, I think, and Big Sutton said it as well. In terms of there should be, in my opinion, there should be 10,000 away fans at these games every time. I don't care if it's an advantage or a disadvantage. That's what makes the atmosphere. When Rangers cut it a couple of seasons ago down to 700, it was ludicrous. And basically, let's call a spade here. They did it to prove a point that they didn't want Celtic fans celebrating so much at Ibrox because we kept going there and getting results. They cut the allocation, and Celtic slowly kind of fell apart when they started going to Ibrox. I don't know if that had an effect or what, but it certainly proved a point. So they won't give a monkeys. To be honest, they'd rather have 50,000 in. So, I mean, if you're Dominic Mackay or Desmond Paul, would you reciprocate? Would you say, well, you aren't getting any tickets in January? Or would you claim the moral high ground and say, no, actually, we're going to give you tickets?
My head's saying, yeah, I'll give them the 10,000, but my heart's going, nah, tit for tat, that's what you're going to do to us, so aye. I don't know, it's a tough decision. I'd like to think that we're a better class of a club, and we can say, you know what, we'll give you these tickets because, we're not going to be like that. And you can come to our stadium and try and beat us, so, and just be that, in my opinion, we're always that kind of level above class, and I think we should do that, and they can do what they want.
I'm kind of the same opinion. I'm a bit split down the middle. I don't know if I would give them 10,000 tickets back, because I don't know if it would eventually be reciprocated. If there would be enough pressure on them, I don't think they would think that way. But I would definitely be giving them the 700 tickets and saying, well, listen, we're the bigger club, and we don't mind the because I think if you go and give them 10,000 tickets back, the Celtic fans are going to be up in arms that maybe don't get a game, don't get a ticket to that game. But listen, we'll see what happens, obviously, in in the coming months about that. Just going to finish on. I don't know if you've seen this. Neil Lennon's been in the media again, kind of having his 2 cents. Listen, he's a guy that's hurting. He's a guy that brought a lot of success to Celtic as a player and a manager, and I love him still. I just think he's hurting and he's going about it the wrong way. He feels like this is his only way of doing it. I think personally that Neil Lennon should have came out maybe a month or two after he left the club and did one big interview and got everything off his chest, because it feels as if it's just getting brought out in dribs and drabs. For me, I mean, first of all, it was having a go at the fans, accusing them of being spoiled and having unrealistic dreams about 10 in a row. Then he was having a pop at Lee Griffiths and his fitness and his, body language and all the rest of it. Recently, this weekend, Edward is in the firing line. Paul, I don't know if you've seen the comments about Edward at the weekend.
I didn't see the specific comments, but I heard a lot about this, and I'm the kind of same thinking of you. I've got a lot of respect for Neil Lennon, but some of that went away last season just simply because I thought he should leave. Things weren't going well, and for whatever reason, multiple reasons, maybe fans, maybe. But look at the difference. We've got a manager in, and look, a lot of our players were all there last season.
Aye.
The turnaround is insane. And yeah, he's come out and done things the wrong way. And I think being a Celtic man, he should have a bit more class about him than that. And that's what I always hold myself on. And I don't get into bitterness. I don't get into name calling. I like to think I'm a Celtic fan. I don't need to be like that. I'll support my club, and I think that's the way he should have done it. But you know what, the guy's hurting, and people are react differently, and I do have a bit that I feel sorry for him, but also have a bit saying you should have just left. It was his responsibility. Like that comment's just come up. He had a big part to play in that. So yeah, I've got kind of mixed feelings. How I feel about what he's been saying and how he's went about it, but I understand he's hurting. But
yeah, I mean, just to kind of go over some of the quotes. It was asked about Odsonne Edward when he supposedly if he wanted away last summer, and he says, however, when the pandemic hit and every club tightened their belts, the Hoops only got one bid for the striker, which was nowhere near his valuation. Neil then claimed Eddie's head wasn't in the game during pre-season and things were difficult. Listen, I think he's still hurting that he couldn't get the crowds in. It was out of his control, out of everybody's control. That they couldn't get the fans in, because I think personally, if there'd been fans in last season, we wouldn't have lost the league. I think it's shown already that Celtic as a team thrive off the crowd, and I think Rangers most certainly don't. They feel that wee bit more pressure from their fans, kind of thing. It's just, as I say, I'd love to get Neil on for a one-to-one interview. I don't ever see it happening, but it would be a pretty explosive interview. I think if there was no holds barred and he could get everything off his chest and then leave it. But I think it just seems to be piping up when he wants, and I think he's feeling a wee bit of jealousy, because of the immediate adoration and the love that Celtic fans are pouring out onto players like Kyogo and Ange and Abada and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's a wee bit of jealousy, and he's feeling a wee bit hurting. And as I say, listen, when you look at what Neil Lennon's given to Celtic over his time there, an unbelievable servant to the club and some incredible victories, whether it's over Rangers, whether it's that Barcelona game. And I think the fans need to realise that. I know the fans will be quick to jump on it and say, Neil should, keep his mouth shut and it's nothing to do with him and it's his fault that he lost 10 in a row and this and that and blah blah. But that's not the case. It was a mixture of things why we lost 10 in a row, and it wasn't just down to Neil. But I genuinely think, in terms of his comments about Eddie, his head wasn't in the game. Edouard is a player to me. He's got that French way about him, and I think Olivier Cham almost had the same kind of feeling. You got the same feeling off him, where you felt as if he wasn't interested, and I think that's just some games. Pogba does it down south constantly. Do you know what I mean? Pogba doesn't ever be a world class player week in, week out. You get sometimes where he takes a huff, and I don't think he's ever been unhappy, Edward, in my opinion. I don't think he's ever been unhappy. I think, but listen, I don't know, because I don't see him in training, and I don't see him week in, week out, or day in, day out. So I don't know, but I just think he's a very quiet guy. He's a very private guy, and I think he's quite happy at Celtic, even still. I think if Celtic were to get him in talks for maybe a year or two's extension, and maybe say to him, listen, if you can sign this contract to keep yourself at the club, for another year or two, and then we'll sell you, like we did with Aya. And I think then potentially, I mean, you can imagine if he stays at the club this year, signs a contract, rattles in 20, 30 goals, he does well in Europe, his valuation's going to go through the roof kind of thing. And then Celtic can get their money for him, because obviously the problem we've got is the 40% sell-on clause that PSG have on him. Whoever sanctioned that deal, I think, should be out of their job. I think that's a ludicrous bit of business, to be honest. Kevin McGinnigal says, why did he persist in playing him if he wasn't interesting? Show some backbone. I literally think, in that point, that's all he had. In terms of, he was saying Griffiths wasn't fit, Griffiths wasn't in the right frame of mind. Ayeti, for me, isn't cutting it. And obviously Kalamala at the time was in and out of the team. So I think it was basically the best of a bad bunch he had, and that's why he had to play him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think the whole signings last year were very poor, so that didn't help.
Yeah, but as I say, listen, no doubt it's not the last we'll hear from Neil Lennon. But as I say, hopefully we can get a wee bit more positivity out of him, and he can be back at Celtic Park, and the fans will give him a good reaction. So as I say, we'll leave it there, Paul. It's been a great chat as always, isn't it? And next, I don't know what we're going to do next Sunday. We'll work it out during the week, whether depends how next Sunday goes. If we go and scalp them 5-0, it might not be up for coming on. So might need to do it in I don't know, a Friday, or maybe leave it to the Monday or something. We could maybe leave it to Monday, but listen, mate, thanks for coming on.
That's all right.
So as I say, guys, if you want to follow us, we are all over the socials. Celtic FC Appreciation on Facebook. We're on YouTube as well. We're on Instagram. Just search us. We're available to download on wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you can like the podcast, if you can subscribe to the podcast and give us a review just to let us know how we're doing. If we could be doing things better, or whatever, just any kind of review to let us make us improve the page is much welcomed. I will be back on Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. I will be interviewing Ali Defoy. She is producer of the Go Football Show on Go Radio, Glasgow's own radio station, and she works for St Mirren TV as well. But she's covered the golf and she covered the football, and I'm really, really looking forward to the chat with her. And as I say, hopefully you can join us. I get it's going to be early, but it would be great to hear from you guys again. Once again, thanks to our sponsors, Club Badge FC. We're going to be starting up a competition with them soon, so keep your eyes tuned to the page. The numbers have been going great on the page as well, so keep liking the page and keep sharing the page, guys. We really want to do well and build this page up and build this podcast up and get it in the charts. So for the time being, I'll be back on Wednesday morning. Paul, I'll see you next weekend at some point,
Yeah,
on the
definitely.
Monday. But in the meantime, guys, hail, all the best.